Hi, I'm Chris. Today I'm going to show you the Victron Multiplus. It's set up in my Sprinter van. You can buy it for under $1,500 on Amazon. It is the heart of your electrical system. It provides two major functions. It provides a charger so it can charge your batteries, and then your inverter. Your inverter takes DC and it converts it to AC electricity. The Multiplus is set up here on the side of the van above my batteries. Right now it's on, which means both the inverter and the charger are working. The inverter can provide about 3,000 watts of power, which is more than enough. It can use 6,000 watts of surge power, meaning if you start something up, sometimes it takes more, and so it has way more capability than you need. It's a pure sine wave inverter, which is the best and which is what you want as well. The inverter is smart, has a ton of different features. In my case, it actually powers a electric hot water heater when the van is running. What's nice about this is Victron has included a feature called Power Assist. So normally I don't have enough power from my batteries to run the hot water heater. The hot water heater runs on AC electricity. So this device is smart enough, it can detect that. It can draw power from one source and then supplement it from another source so you have enough for the hot water heater. That's the Power Assist feature. It also has a transfer switch that's really fast. You can switch between under 20 milliseconds. So think of a transfer switch as something that's in your UPS that powers your computer at home. When the power goes out, you want it to switch over really fast to the battery so that your computer doesn't notice and reboot. This has one of those essentially. So if I were to unplug the back of the van and this thing had been powering everything from the house, it would immediately switch over to battery power and none of your devices would even notice it so fast. The charger is a 4-stage charger. Goes through all of the right stages in charging any sort of lead acid batteries, AGM batteries, lithium batteries, and so forth. A ton of different features, more than you can imagine, all controlled via programming in the computer or via your phone. I'm going to show you the inside of this to give you an idea of some of the connections and also some of the features. On the inside of the Multiplus, you can see there are 3 connections for AC. Over here we have the connection for external AC coming in from outside the van. Right here we have an AC connection for one circuit and then for another circuit. The second circuit is only live when there's external power. So if there's juice flowing in through this, then this is live. Why this is nice, this circuit here is set up to my hot water heater. I don't run my hot water heater unless I have another source of electricity that's coming in, and that gives you a bunch of options. So this automatically detects that, enables the circuit or disables the circuit based on external electricity coming in. This is your main circuit for the van. And so this one is always on. If there's no external electricity, it's being powered from the batteries as AC. These are the connections to the battery itself, the battery bank. You can see these are 4/0 cables, which means they're very, very thick DC cables. This is a 12-volt system, so they have to be even thicker. These connect from the battery bank through a 400 amp fuse. If you go through here, a couple things you'll notice. These are Cat5 kind of Ethernet connections, and so these connect the brains of the Multiplus to a couple other devices I'm going to show you. That's one of the strengths of the Victron system, is everything is connected together and then everything is available on the internet for free for you to access, program, monitor, or do whatever you want. The other thing that's nice about the Multiplus that you won't find if you buy separate battery chargers and inverters and things like that is there's 3 integrated relays. There's like a temperature input. There's a couple other things that you can plug in. There's also a trickle charge charger in here that provides 4 amps to the starter battery if you like. So that's another thing. You're charging your house batteries. You can also charge your starter battery from this, and so you have a wire going up to the front of the van where the starter battery is. Here next to my Multiplus I have the rest of the electrical system. The Multiplus had 2 AC outs, one that's powered when there's external AC and one that's powered all the time. Those feed through this breaker. There's 2 breakers, so I can turn on the system here and here. They're both 15 amp breakers. They feed into 2 ground fault outlets. Super important that you use ground fault outlets. This has probably saved my life once, maybe twice, where it popped after I felt a jolt of electricity when I was doing something I knew I shouldn't do. The one on the left here is only powered when there's AC power coming into the unit from outside the van, so that's the one that eventually feeds off my hot water heater. The other one is the one that provides electricity to the whole van. There are 2 Cat5 cables coming off of the Multiplus. One of them goes to an external control panel, which allows me to switch between off charger and inverter charger. The other one goes to the Venus, also from Victron, which is the brains of the operation, and it allows it to talk to the Multiplus, to remotely program the Multiplus, and to get information from the Multiplus as well. I have six 6-volt AGM batteries back here. I went with that because golf cart batteries tend to be pretty durable, and golf carts use 6-volt batteries. Each pair of batteries is wired in series to produce 12 volts, and then there's 3 sets that are wired in parallel to provide 12 volts to the whole system. The Multiplus sits above it and is connected with those 4-aught cables to a 400 amp fuse, and then to a switch and so forth. So this is all for safety. DC electricity is very safe, except for the fact that it can burn and get very hot. The Multiplus is unique because it takes the functions of an inverter, battery charger, transfer switch, and so forth, and combines them into one unit. You would probably end up spending more money if you bought each of those individually, and you'd have a much less integrated system with less capability. I have a microwave. The microwave's powered by AC, so it needs the inverter. Right now it's off. I also have things like battery chargers, which are powered by AC, and that's off right now. Both of them are plugged into outlets. The microwave is plugged into a hidden outlet behind this, and this one's plugged into an outlet right here. Currently there's no power coming through these. On the wall I have a remote switch for the Multiplus. Right now it's off. If I were to flip it to on, the inverter comes on. You hear the microwave beep, so the microwave got its power. And you can see that the battery charger that's plugged in is also blinking. So that means that the Multiplus came on, took power from the batteries, converted it to AC, fed it through my circuits, and you have it here available for you to use in the van. Sometimes when the van is sitting, I don't want it running the inverter because the inverter uses electricity even when it's not providing inverted power to a device. I've done all of this with the van not connected to external power. So there's no shore power coming into the van. I'm going to go ahead and connect that and then show you what changes. Now I have shore power plugged in, which means power coming from my house to the van. You will see that the charger lit up. It says the mains are on and it's in bulk mode. So it's taking power from the house and it's charging my batteries right now. One of the features that the Multiplus has is the ability to limit how much power it uses from an external source. This is really important because if you draw too much power from an external source, that source may shut down, overload, or in the case of a house, flip a breaker. So in this particular case, I've limited the Multiplus to only pull 12 amps from the house. The breaker that it's plugged into is a 15 amp breaker. So that's great. Before I got this, what would happen is if I had a particularly big load in the van, it would flip the breaker in the house when it tried to pull too much power. Now I'll turn on my phone display so you can see all the information that's made available in the VRM app from Victron. I'm pulling 1600 watts from the house now that the van is plugged in. That's limited, meaning it can't go above that because I would flip a breaker. Now, when I turned on my hot water heater, you can see that I'm now pulling 1200 watts to run the hot water heater. The rest of it is going into the batteries, which are getting about, well, it's changing. You can see it's real time. They went from 400 watts to about 133 watts of power that the batteries are getting. In addition to the real-time data, you can also see historical data. Some of the examples of that would include your consumption of electricity, your production of electricity if you have solar panels or if you have a generator, the mix and match of those two things. The app is super rich, has a ton of data in it if you want to explore it. Like here's a graph, for example, that shows you my AC input voltage and the amount of current that's coming into the van. This one shows you the output voltage over time. It gets updated in real time as well, and so forth. You can see the charge states of the charger, when it went from bulk to absorption, and so on. Well, that sums up my video of the Multiplus from Victron. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those below. I'll also include links to the Multiplus and to a couple websites that are my favorites that talk about setting up the Multiplus and the exhaustive list of features. If you like more of these videos, I don't know, what should I say now?
Thumbs up.
If you like this video, if it was helpful, give it a thumbs up, and I'll make more of them.